How's the mood around the group? Obviously going very nicely at the moment, but another massive game coming up Friday night we've got to focus on.
Yeah, they don't get any easier. Sydney, then Melbourne United. They've been a bit of a benchmark, even though Sydney's been the reigning champs. Melbourne are a bit of a benchmark of the league. They're a stable, club, coaching-wise and player-wise. They've been pretty consistent. A little turnover this year, obviously, but Melbourne United's coming to town. You better be ready.
What do you do about the big boys? Obviously, JLA's back, Hukporti as well. We've got a couple of key pillars here to worry about, and then the rest of the team is very talented as well, as you know, so it's going to be pretty challenging.
Yeah, it certainly is. Obviously, JLA coming back in is a massive imp for them. A little bit different to dealing with Rob Lowe. They just bring different strengths. But Marcus Lee's in our team for a reason, and we feel that it'd be a really good matchup for him and a great test. But he's played against Melbourne a couple of times this year already. He's practiced or played with them last year, so he certainly knows what they bring. But like collective effort, we've played big, we've played small, even though, Majuk has played at the 5, he's not small, he's still 6'10" and very long. So we believe we've got good strengths to be able to counter theirs and, be a little bit of a chess match. Styles are pretty similar from both teams, very defensive orientated. The scores could be like 50 all going into the last quarter, but that'll be right where we want it.
Obviously, they didn't have JLA last time a couple of weeks ago. Because you've played them so recently, do you feel like we changed much, even though they look a little bit different? No Kelly as well, which will be helpful, I suppose.
Yeah, obviously a little bit different. I'm not sure whether Delhi will play yet or not. Hopefully he's okay from that injury. But JLA, he played there 2 years ago. They still run very similar stuff for him. He's going to be a handful, there's no doubt about that. But we think going the other way, we've got some strengths that we believe in, and we've got to be able to counter what they bring out. And no matter what's thrown at us, as I said earlier, it'll be a chess match. There'll be punches thrown all night. As it was the Sydney game, it'll be a different type of game, but there'll be ebbs and flows. And we've talked this week already about momentum and when we have it, what we need to do, and when we don't have it, what we need to do. So hopefully that'll hold us in good stead when them times come for us.
In terms of the tight turnaround, is it better to get Melbourne out of the way first before heading up to Brisbane?
To be honest, we haven't even talked about Brisbane, and that's just, I think every club's in that mode when you have a one-day turnaround, and we're just focused on Melbourne and our home game, and Brisbane will deal with that when we jump on the plane.
I asked that to the other day. How you, particularly the coach, I suppose, you have all week to prepare for Melbourne, then you've got 2 days or not even 2 days to prepare for Brisbane. Is that challenging, or do you do some work behind the scenes as coaching staff, get ready for the courts as well?
Yeah, there's definitely assistant coaches that have those scouts that, they're chipping away, so there's a preparations pretty much done to hand over to Scott once we've completed this game. But we'll also, sometimes on a short turnaround, it's good. You don't overthink things. You don't have to worry too much about everything that's just gone before it. You just lock in, all right, we need to do this and this. And we've had a pretty good, some pretty good games over our journey the last couple of years on short turnarounds. So, Brisbane are tough, and they'll be desperate. And they're coming back off the Perth game from that one. But, we'll deal with them when we get to it. Melbourne United's front and centre.
A big cheer for Mags there before. Obviously, we've been told he's probably not going to be ready till around 7 at least, but it must be pleasing to see him edging closer and closer. Obviously, he did something out there today. They've got a big cheer.
Definitely. I think in these interviews I've talked a couple of times about the possibility of having him on the floor and Marcus on the floor at different stages together. What he brings, he just changes the way we play. And we get the best version of Mags back. It'll be good for us. It just makes us more flexible, more dynamic, very, very strong post defence. And he just brings a lot of energy, a lot of swagger to the group. We're excited to have him on the floor today, hence the cheer, getting through some of that scrimmage stuff.
And when you have a big win like you did the other day, how quickly do you Scott like to put that behind the group, or how much do you like to kind of harness that energy and that momentum and that confidence, I suppose, to bring to this game, or do you put it to bed straight away?
We put it to bed today, like we had our review today, and and then we moved straight up. On the back end of that, we moved into Melbourne United. So you do move on quickly. We celebrated our win. I think you have to do that. You can't just be, you're not robots and just move on. We talked about what we did well and what we need to continue to do. And, you know, wins are hard to come by. You know, you don't just flush them down the drain and go. You've got to learn from them. Some things we didn't do very well against Sydney that we identified internally, and, you know, and then we move on. But, you know, it's tough to win in this league. You know, and look at the ladder. You turn around after a weekend and you can be back in the middle of the pack, and I think that's going to be the course of the season. Scott's talked about that. You know, got to find some consistency and be able to bring that, you know, daily to practice, but you got to bring it into games. And I feel like we're getting more consistent just in our process, regardless of results. We're just becoming more consistent on how we want to play.
You've been around the league a long time. Have you seen as good as or a better backcourt combinations, Milton and Jordon?
Been a lot of good backcourt combinations. I think we like them. I think that's the main thing. And I think they're starting to find some really good synergy together. They're also finding synergy with other players, and I think that's been a strength with our subbing patterns of late, that you find JC can be on the court with a couple of our backup guys that then become really potent. You know, they're not really backup guys once you put Jordan Crawford with them. And then he goes out and Milt's in there and he's playing with different combinations. So they're a good combination, there's no doubt. There's been some great ones, and, you know, to this point in time, they've been pretty good this year.
And you decked off the bench as well. You got the Jump, you got Clint, both coming out and dominating the other day, and then obviously Sean as well. It's just really good team, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, if you've got to go deep into this season and play, you've got to have depth. You've got to be able to bring guys off the bench and contribute. I feel like Clint's just finding that rhythm. I took him for an individual early this morning, and it sort of reminded me back to where he was before he broke his leg with the Boomers. And the Sydney game is probably evidence. Now he's backed it up, and if he can have another good week on the track, not just in the game, but just keep being consistent, I think we'll see some good things from Clint as we go through the season. And he's so important to us, not just on offense, but just his length on defense and his experience. And, you know, he doesn't get overawed by any big occasions. He's been there, done that on the bigger stage, and you need that in big games.
Just a little left field one finish. I know you're close with Tre Armstrong. I was back in Tassie. Do you expect him to be back around the group at some point? Scott picked some of the olive branch there, I think, when he left to back at any time.
To be honest, I'm not really sure. I actually haven't spoken to Tre since he's been back from Europe. I had a couple of text messages with him. I know he's in a good space. He's going to lock in for NBL 1. In terms of us, you know, I'm not really sure. I know Scott's invited him in, but I've been buried in jack jumpers right now, and it'd be good to catch up with him though, like very close, and he's a great kid.